Hello everyone, welcome along. It's a very special edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Sean, and look who's next to me here, all the way in Umag in Croatia. It is the senior ATP Tour handicapper. It's Sean Calvert, and this is the first time we have ever recorded a podcast together. So,
yeah,
hello, mate.
Hello, I've never met him before.
I thought I would have a stronger welcome than a glass of gin.
We literally that's grappa, that is.
That's a bit of grappa.
Be careful with that.
Mate, how's your trip?
All right.
Not bad.
Well, we've just looked over there. It's you can't see it from where we are, but this is the same place that I did the podcast from the other day. It's what is that? 50 yards from the ocean.
Yep.
So you just jump in there. Lovely sandy beach when you get past the stones. Straight into that beautiful sea out there, and you can go out for like 100 meters. Float about. Yeah, it's great. Beach bar down there. If the camera was turned around the other way, we could probably see it a bit better, but explain it a bit better. But beautiful setting for tennis. You know, the tournament itself is literally 4 minutes walk from here. You know, what's not to like? Apart from the mozzies, it's great.
Very impressed I was. I was in Umag last night, walked around the little city. I'm staying about 10 minutes away from where Sean is, and I went to the city last night, the little town. Lovely. Nice little meal. Not cheap, there. Though, not cheap.
Nothing's cheap. That pizza restaurant down there, we were in there the other day. We had one pizza, which Lagan had, which was a margarita. I had a beer. Natasha had half a beer, and it was like €30.
Oh, there we go now. There's a supermarket around the corner.
I know, it's not very good, though. Natasha's been there. She keeps complaining about the quality of the fruit and veg. So, you know, if she's complaining about the fruit and veg, you've got problems.
Well, there you go. But this is a lovely little setup. It's a lovely little town. Nice to see Sean here as well. And a lot of people have commented it on the last couple of days, and a lot since we did the podcast. I said how happy you are. They said it's the most happiest they've ever seen you.
Well, what's not to like here? You know, normally I'm at home. Lagan's hassling me. I mean, it's bad enough here. Actually, he's hassling me all the time anyway. But it's a bit different, isn't it? It's a beach vibe, isn't it? It's not like a tournament like I don't know Stuttgart or Rotterdam or something like that, where you've got the city and it's all a bit not great. But here, blue sky, 30-degree temperatures, beach right there, beach bars. You know, everything you want. The players. I mean, I've met so many of the players. Lagan's had loads of photographs with the players. Got Cerundolo this morning.
Lovely.
He wasn't happy about it, Cerundolo. He didn't want to do it, but he did relent.
Shamed into it.
Because I had a kid with me. I don't like doing it on my own because it's a bit weird, isn't it? Like sort of 50-year-old bloke sort of can have a. I don't like that vibe. But with Lagan, they do it because.
But when you push him in, and he says, "Who is it, Dad? Who is this bloke?" Because they have no idea.
No, but he never asks. I say that's such and such. Like today, I said that's Francisco Cerundolo.
Yeah.
Lagan was like. Whatever,
yeah.
But he loves Massetti because Massetti was really nice with him and really sort of kind. And now he calls him Lore and stuff. Oh, where's Lore, Daddy? Where's Lore? He keeps saying. So, yeah, I think Lore's his new favourite. But
I think Massetti might put up with it for another day. But if he gets to the final, I think he might have enough.
I have bumped into him about 7 times. I think he thinks I'm stalking him.
He turned around the wrong direction. And the other thing, last night when I landed here last night, raining, horrible weather. But looked onto the phone straight away. A nice winner. You were there watching it.
Yeah, Montero against Mahatch. It wasn't the easiest to win. It was because you can't get on that court unless you've got tickets for that court. It's a Studenac Arena. It's at the side of the main court. You have to have tickets for that individual court to get the seats or whatever. But there is a section diagonally where everyone stands that you can just see it. But it's in the full sun, and then it was raining, so I was stood there for about an hour. Watching Montero, he didn't really deserve to win the match. To be honest, he kind of stole it a little bit. He was under a lot of pressure. Mahat should have won that match, but he didn't. Montero gutted it out, survived the really hard times, numerous break points that he had to face, and just sort of nicked it in the end. But sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes you get winners that you don't deserve and losers that you don't deserve. But I'll take it.
Yeah, take it as it comes, especially at €30 for a margarita pizza. We need it. We need the money.
That beach bar down there, that's pretty good. That's a bit more value. Get your chicken nuggets in there for Lagan.
Chicken nuggets for Lagan, half price. But Montero's paying for them tonight, son. But we'll make sure we got paid for tomorrow and the next day. And that's what we're trying to do here. Give you the best bets on the ATP Tour this week. Remember, myself and Sean will be at the tennis this evening. If this podcast drops on just Tuesday evening, we'll be there. Head across to the app Because We Win Instagram account, and also the app Because We Win social media account on Twitter. You better follow us and our ventures here. Not only today, tomorrow, and throughout the week here in Umag, and hopefully we can bump into a few more tennis players along the way, and hopefully Musetti will still be taking selfies with you by the end of the week, because I'm sure that he'll have had enough by then.
I've had 2 already.
Yeah,
that's the limit, I think.
That's done. Musetti's done with you. We have 4 matches we're going to discuss, 2 here in Umag, 2 in Kitzbuhel. Let's get on with the betting talk. The first match is a match involving Lorenzo Sonego against Alexandre and Muller. Sonego yesterday come through an absolute epic match. I think it was 13-11 in the tie-break. He was injured. He had injury times out, cramping up. Muller obviously isn't our best friend this week. We're not going to ask for a selfie of him after he knocked out Arnaldi, our pick.
He's a bit low ranked for me to have a selfie with, to be honest. I prefer the top 10, top 20 guys.
Definitely. So Alexandre Muller obviously beating our pick, Arnaldi. So Sonego here comes into it with an injury doubt. He is an underdog with Bet Rivers, and I think that is a reflection of that injury doubt, because if it wasn't for that injury, I believe the Italian would have been favourite here. Plus 112 for Sonego, minus 139 for Muller. The spread here is 1.5, minus 1.5 Muller is minus 112, plus 1.5 Sonego, minus 114. The total is 22.5 with over minus 108, under minus 118. If we look at the head-to-heads together, 1 win apiece. 2023, Muller won in Vienna. And in 2017, a long time ago, on clay in a futures event, Sonego won. Sonego is an injury concern here, Sean, and I suppose that is a reflection in the plus 112. But the one thing I've noticed in the 24 hours or so that I've been in Umag, Italians everywhere.
There's a lot of Slavs, obviously, the former Yugoslavia here. There's a lot of sort of Croatians, Serbians, Italians, Austrians, Germans. Not so many English. I think it's just me and Nigel.
We are
basically the only ones. There are 1 or 2.
I'm blending in. Nobody actually thinks I'm English. They think I'm more sort of Slovakian.
Do they?
Yeah. I don't.
I wouldn't have said you look Slavic, to be honest, but there you go. Big gamble on Muller here. He opened at 2.23 plus 123 Bet Rivers. Now he's 1.72. So that's quite a move, isn't it? So any value there was on Muller has gone, really. Which this must be based on this fatigue/injury. I didn't see most of that much.
He was cramping up. He had, I think, he had an injury timeout. He was struggling at the end. He won the tiebreak. I think 13-11, but he was really in a bad way.
I think it's just about that basically, because I mean, originally there was slight value on Muller as the dog. Last 12 months on clay at main level, service points won and return points won, total of 100 Muller. Sonego 99, and Muller's also slightly ahead on the hold and break totals. And Sonego's stats, he only wins 33% of return points on clay, so he's very serve dominant even on this surface. Muller's been sort of very up and down this season. You know, he made the last 16 of Rome as a qualifier. You might remember he beat Rublev and Fies that week. And then last week in Borstad, he lost to Yevseyev, who's challenger level at best. So he's always a hard guy to call, I find, Alexandre Muller. I mean, he played okay against Arnaldi in the first round. Arnaldi wasn't good at all. Low first serve percentage, a lot of unforced errors. The thing that interests me is Sonego's stats in Umag. He's 3-1 win-loss, and he's got service points won and return points won total of 107. Including 88% holds of serve. So I know it's only 4 matches, but it's another that Italian factor, isn't it? I think they love playing here. I don't think Sonego's got any Olympic duty. I don't think he's on the Italian team for the Olympics, so he's not got to worry about that next week. So he can leave it all out here. Sounds like he did leave a lot of it out there last night. But he's got a day off. You know, these are super fit guys. Lajovic cramped as well. We'll talk about him in a minute. He was in no fit state, was he? I don't know whether you saw that, but he was in all sorts of trouble. So they've got 24 hours off. You know, these matches don't start until late. You know, 4:30's the earliest, isn't it? So it could be 9 p.m. She's got a full 48 hours really, hasn't he, before the match starts. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think now that the market's come this way, I think there's slight value as Sonego, just on the basis of the Umag form on a horses for courses basis. Italian, they get tons of support here. There's loads of Italians here, as you'll see Nigel in a bit. So I think the value's now come for Sonego as dog. What is he, plus 112?
Yeah.
I think that's potentially a little bit of value. I think it's the best option today, purely on the basis, not on the normal clay stats, but here, his stats are really good, and he's obviously going to leave it all out here. He left it all out here yesterday. He hasn't got the Olympics to worry about. On his day, he's a slightly higher class than Muller. On his day, so let's take it. Let's go for it.
Is there a slight worry or a slight inkling that, people might even continue to bet Muller at minus 139? He could go, or do you think this is the seeding that the Sonego price has got? I mean, I think that if you watch the videos and read them, I think the market read might be that Sonego is in a bad way, cramping up, and and I think that whenever anyone sees an injury, the market just keeps going to a point, and I'm not quite sure whether we've hit the ceiling at plus
Cramp's
112.
a bit different, isn't it? If it was an injury like a pull, a muscle pull, or a tear or a strain or something like that, then that's one thing. But cramp is, it either happens or it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily affect you 48 hours later, I don't think. So it is hot here. It's very humid here. Unfortunately, this is the time of day when the sun comes on this balcony, but it's behind the trees. Sun's gone in a little bit, so it's not too bad. But it's hot. It's humid. Cramping is going to happen. Who's to say it's not going to happen to Muller?
Yeah.
In this match, he's not a guy that's accustomed to this sort of temperature, particularly being from France. I saw him practicing the other day, actually. But yeah,
did he go? Oh, not him again. Like,
he sort of looked.
Guy with the kid again.
It was one of them. You see players practice. If there's nobody watching them, you sort of know it's one of the lower ranked players, and the general public don't know who they are. But obviously, I know Alexandre Muller, and I looked at him and I saw him, and I was literally the only one watching him practice. And he sort of looked at me and sort of thought, "Someone watching me practice." Yeah. So
you cost us our unhealthy future. You cost us our.
I didn't make any gesticulations towards him, but. I think because the market's come like this, I think there's a little tiny. It's not much. It's a sliver of value, I think, on Sonego. I think that's the best way to put it.
I think one question I'll ask you, Sean, before we move on to the next match is if this was round number 1, and I always ask this question to people, and I think it's a very important factor when you're looking at betting. If it was round number 1 and there was no injury concerns for Sonego, what price would Sonego be? Minus 130?
Well, if we look at what he started at, what did I say it was? So Muller opened at 2.23. So I would say that. I'd say these prices would be the other way around.
Yeah.
So you can decide for yourself whether that's value or not. I think it's arguably the best value of the matches that you'll get on Wednesday.
Yeah. So that's the value. Sonego plus 112. I would keep an eye on the market. Head across the BetRivers website. There's going to be a whole host of markets available. Remember, it's a late start here in Umag. It's 4:30 start. So that's around about 11:30 Eastern time. So you've got plenty of time to head across. Look at the markets. There'll be a whole host of markets being added throughout the day. But Sonego at plus 112 is a smidgen of value. Is it an official pick, or are we going to go with?
I think this is the best one today. Yeah, it's not 100% confidence, but I think it's just about enough to make it an official pick.
Yeah. So the plus 112 is our official picks. Lorenzo Sonego to beat Alexandre Muller, and the Italian we're going for in that match. Now we're looking at another Italian. Flavio Cobolli up against Dusan Lajovic. Minus 195 for Cobolli. He's been in very impressive form throughout the year. Very impressive in his first round win over Navone. Lajovic is plus 155. They've never met each other before, these two. The spread here is 2.5. Minus 118 for Cobolli, giving up 2.5. Minus 107 for Lajovic, receiving 7.5. And the total here is 22.5. Minus 114 for the overs. Minus 112 for the unders. Lajovic is coming to this tournament. Had a good win. He played a local player, didn't he? He played, was it local?
He played Miselic.
Oh, yeah. So, but he's only had 2 wins in 7 matches coming into this tournament. Not in great form. This is his surface.
Well, it's his home tournament.
His home tournament. I mean,
sort of. Yeah, it's Serbian, isn't he?
He's got. This is a big match for him, but he's not in great form. Plus 155. Cobolli, definitely the form player. Another one I've seen pictures with you and Lagan.
He was really nice. Honestly, he was so nice. Cobolli.
There's a picture of you and Lagan in reception when I come in there. Please do not leave the players alone.
No, he was so nice. Because obviously I can spot these players from a way away. Cobolli I've seen a lot lately. I saw him on the practice courts at Wimbledon. Remember I told you that woman who wanted a selfie and she didn't know who he was. Yep.
And I told you to just put him away, so someone completely ran.
Yeah, but I didn't. I was too generous and kind for that. You see, everyone knows that's in my nature. Too generous, too kind.
Kind,
but yeah, all right, not generous. Not generous financially, no. Well, that's what you want me to be, isn't it, for this job?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Where was I? Yeah, no. Honestly, he was so nice. I just stopped him and he just sort of said, "Yeah, no problem." And he was really, he went, "Oh, have a good day" afterwards and all that. He was. Yeah. So I think Lagan really liked him. He likes Cobolli.
He's about the same size as Lagan, and he's only.
He's bigger than me. Probably, yeah. Everyone looks small on the TV, but they're not. So Lajovic was very fortunate to come through last night against Miselic as well. He had full-on cramps. Did Lajovic, and Miselic was. If you'd backed Miselic yesterday, and you were watching him, you'd be thinking, right, I'm in here. This is done. We've won this because Lajovic couldn't move. But Miselic, it sometimes knocks them off their game when they think, oh, hang on, they've gone from that mentality of like got to play this next point, got to really be on this, to the mentality of, oh, I've won this now. This guy can't move. And it puts you off, and suddenly you miss a few, and it's very hard to get your rhythm back. And that's sort of what happened to Miselic last night. I mean, Cobolli was great against, I saw a bit of that match on centre court the other day against Navone. He should be winning this, really. If we look at the last 12 months clay stats at main level, Cobolli, decent way ahead. Service points won and return points won, total of 104. And a service hold and break total of 107. Lajovic, 101 and 104. So decent stats from Lajovic, but not in the class of Cobolli. Now, if we look at what Lajovic has done in Umag, I mean, it's not technically his home tournament. Obviously, he probably wouldn't like me saying that with him being Serbian, and it's obviously Croatia, but it's roughly as close as he's going to get now that Belgrade's gone. And he's won it before. He won it a few years ago. He's 9-6 win-loss here. Lajovic, his service points won and return points won total here is 101, which is the same as his normal total throughout all of the tournaments. Won it in 2019, but he's only been back twice since then. So it's not. I don't think it's a tournament he really loves that much. I think it's the heat. The fact that he cramped yesterday, he is a bit dodgy in the heat, Lajovic. So he's probably thinking, I'd rather go to Kitzbuhel or sort of Hamburg, where it's it's a lot cooler generally, isn't it? So maybe that's a reason. I don't know. The issue that we talked about with Sonego is obviously the same issue here. The cramp. Is it going to affect him? Well, I don't know. Let's say not, because again, it's 48 hours away. But I feel like on the stats, on the form as well, because Cobolli's playing great. He looks highly motivated. I don't think he's playing the Olympics either, Cobolli.
Right.
So I think Massetti is. I don't think Cobolli is.
Arnoldi is. Do they have three or four spots? So there'll be Massetti's
definitely
Berrettini.
Playing. I don't know about Berrettini.
Sinner.
Arnoldi's definitely playing.
Oh, no, right.
I don't know whether that's singles or doubles or what, but I'm pretty sure that Cobolli is not playing. So I think he's got a decent chance here, Cobolli, not just in this match, but in the tournament as well, if we're looking at these stats and the way he played against Navone. So I'd be looking at 2-0 here to Cobolli, bearing in mind Lajovic, if he loses the first set, is he really going to want to come back thinking, what happened to him in the first match? Is he going to be thinking, 3 sets again, final set, my legs are going to go. So I think that's, bearing in mind Cobolli's what, minus 195, what's that, 1-2, roughly, in old money. I would take the set betting. I think it's obviously a riskier play, but I could see Lajovic just not being that interested if he loses the first set. I can't see him wanting to come back.
What price are we getting for the 2-0?
That's plus 125 at Bet Rivers.
That is a nice price.
So if you're betting in that one, it's just a lean really, but I can't see Cobolli in these circumstances getting beat by Lajovic here. Yeah,
I mean, the other thing with Cobolli, obviously, head across the Bet Rivers website. Obviously not now because there'll be matches being played, but in the tomorrow morning, Sean's getting a little bit of a lean for him to win the tournament. So not only to win this match 2-0, to win the tournament. So there'll be
got the draw.
The markets will be open up tomorrow morning.
Well, he's got Massetti, so that's obviously going to be a problem. If he beats Lajovic, he'll almost certainly get Massetti. That'll be a match which you'll probably watch on.
Holger Rune is out.
Holger Rune's already out.
The draw, so.
Yeah, I didn't see him at all actually. He said he was here meeting his fans, but he certainly didn't meet us. No. Although I'm not a fan, so.
Holger Rune fans. I didn't meeting his fans. He actually said I'm meeting my fans.
He said it's nice that unfortunate that I couldn't play, but it's nice that I got to meet some of my fans. Is what he said. I don't know whether he was saying that in an arrogant way or that's just the translation. I don't know. But.
Alexandre Muller said he's so pleased to meet my only fan.
Well, I sort of gave him a sort of cursory look of recognition, but that's it. I might take a selfie with him later. Lagan will take anybody, to be honest. He'll just.
He should ask one for me, with me.
He didn't ask for one for you, did he?
No, I'm trying to tell you that someone was trying to make me popular. Okay, let's move on to 2 matches. That's it. Remember, head across the Bet Rivers website. Loads of markets, loads of prop markets, loads of specials on those matches here in Umag, and it's a later start, 4:30 local time here, around about 11:30. So plenty of time to get across. Look at Cobolli on the outright market as well tomorrow, and make sure you subscribe to Betting Weekly Studios for all the content here in Umag and on our Twitter pages at Because We Win and socials on Instagram as well. There is 2 other tournaments this week, one in Kitzbuhel in Austria. We're not going to cover no matches in the tournament in Atlanta in America, just the one in Kitzbuhel, and 2 matches we have looked at here. And it's Laslo Djere, the first match, up against Seyboth Wild. Minus 141 for Laslo Djere, plus 114 for Seyboth Wild. The spread 1.5, minus 113 both ways. whichever way you want to go. Total 22.5 over -115, under -110. Looking at the head-to-head record, well, you'll be betting Laslo Djere because he leads 3-0 on the head-to-head record. All on clay, all in straight sets, 7-6, 6-3 here in Kitzbuhel last year, 6-4, 6-3 in Gstaad in 2021, and in Hamburg, another win, 7-6, 6-1. The one thing you're going to notice from these matches, Sean, is that the first sets were all quite tight. Second sets were all one-way traffic.
Well, he does have a tendency to down tools, does Seyboth Wild. But this is another one, big market move here for Seyboth, which I have to say I was quite surprised after what you've said there and the research that I did earlier. It does seem a little bit surprising because he was a 2.55 plus 155 with Bet Rivers when the markets opened. Now he's what, 2.14 plus 114? That's quite a big move as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know why, unless there's fitness doubts about Djere, because it's a great matchup for Laslo Djere. Anyone that's seen Djere play on clay, very solid, decent serve, big-ish, not massive, but big-ish. Very, very solid ground strokes. Very happy to rally all day. Seyboth Wild, not so much happy to rally all day. Likes to go for the flashy winner, particularly off the forehand. Backhand to backhand rallies, if you get him locked in them, he breaks down. And that's what Laslo Djere has done to him over the course of their series. Seyboth Wild did say he really likes it in Kitzbuhel. He says it reminds him of his hometown, which is quite weird because he comes from Brazil.
But Brazil, I was going to say, very different, very, very different.
I think he just means the vibe. He says he's been doing a lot of work on the mental side of the game, which is great because for me he does need to do that because he does tend to down tools. A classic example was when he played Zhang. Was it Zhang the week or two ago? Lost the first. I think it was in Hamburg, wasn't it? Lost the first set 7-6, and then just went. Oh,
but he seems to be a player at the moment. Seyboth Wild, who sort of peaked like 6 weeks ago. Had that sort of the run in the South American series and played okay, done well.
He's a confidence player.
Sure. I mean, he was a market favourite. There was a lot of time where Seyboth Wild was getting bet every match he played. And
we
now
opposed him, didn't we? Etcheverry, we opposed him with him.
And then recent weeks he's been. I don't know whether he thinks the season's done, but I'm amazed at the move for him actually.
I don't.
He does seem to be a public player for some reason. This guy.
It's the style of play, you know. The big match. He's a big match player. You know, I seem to remember he beat Medvedev at the French, or got very. I think he didn't he? He certainly went 5 with Medvedev at the French a few years ago. I think he might even have won that match. I can't remember. But he loves those big matches against big players. Apart from the one that I backed him in, which was against. Remember we backed him against Monfils at the French.
We've bet him a few times,
and
he hasn't done us anything.
He really kind of just went into his shell at 1-all and just stopped playing when he had the upper hand.
You've got a very good memory in these. I can't remember all the matches. I know the
I
players
remember,
we've lost. I nod my head though. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that. He was a set all against Monfils, and he was either a break up in the third. I think he was a break up, something like 4-2 up in the third, and he barely won another game after that. But let's get back to the head-to-head. Service points won and return points won total. 110 for Djere, 90 for Seyboth Wild. So that's a huge advantage for Laslo Djere. He's held serve 93% of the time against Seyboth Wild. So Seyboth's done nothing on return. And Djere's won 61% of the second serve points as well. So he's bossing the rallies from the back of the court. He's holding, should I say, 93% of the time. I mean, where's this... What's changed? I mean, the only thing that's changed, you could say, since the last time they met, which I think was here a year ago, is the fact that Djere's not been fit since then. Well, he seems fit now, but in the last 12 months, in general, his fitness hasn't been great. But I think that's in the past now. I'm not sure, unless there's something that I haven't seen in Kitzbuhel that's happened, like a cramp or like an injury. I don't understand what the move is, because...
Don't you get that worry sometimes when you see something glaringly obvious that someone's 3-0 up, dominant in the matches, all on the surface, and then the market wants to be with the opposite? It does sometimes worry me.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it does sometimes worry
It does make me think, what does someone know that we don't? Because there's nothing that I can think of that would make you want to back Seyboth Wild against Djere. You know, it's just the style of play. Thiago's got to play unbelievable. And Djere's got to have a bit of a meh day, which he does sometimes have. Djere does sometimes fold a little bit too easily if things aren't going his way. That's certainly true to say, but so does Seyboth Wild, even more so. Generally, it's just too solid, Djere. He just makes him play one more ball, generally on the backhand, and I find it hard to believe that Seyboth's going to hit that many winners against Djere over the course of this match for him to justify this market move. So I'm looking at Djere here. What's the spread? Minus one and a half games.
Yeah, minus 113.
I would go with just either the straight win, because that's come to a sort of almost backable price now, hasn't it?
This is unlike you. What's happening? You're happy.
It's head-to-head.
You're happy. You're betting minus 141 shots. What's going on with the Sun's gone dread?
I like to look for the underdogs, as you know, but if you can make a case for Seyboth, I'd be delighted to hear it, because I certainly can't.
It's like his hometown, isn't it?
Apparently,
Kitzbuhel. It's like
apparently
Rio de Janeiro, Kitzbuhel.
He's
very
not
similar.
from Rio, but he's from somewhere that I'd never heard of in Brazil.
Apologies
Apologies to Brazilian listeners and viewers, because I'd never heard of this place where he's from. Maybe it is a little bit like Kitzbuhel, I don't know. But I mean, if we also look at Djere's record here, it's not like he's got a poor record in Kitzbuhel. He's 8-4 win-loss here, and a service points won and return points won, total of 103. So I'm not feeling this move for Seyboth at all. Sorry if you've backed him and you've gone for it, but I would take Djere either on the handicap, maybe to boost the price a little bit. You could move that toggle up, can't you? That's 1.5. I'd go for maybe something like minus 2.5 or something like that. You'll probably get plus money for that.
Or you could put Djere in parlay. Put him in the parlay if you want a short price parlay.
And in short, I just don't see where this market move is from or why.
Well, minus 1.5 with Laslo Djere, minus 113. It would have cashed in every single one of their matches. The differential in their matches so far, in their head-to-head series is 4, 5, and 6. So 1.5 does seem a little bit of value. Laslo Djere, but the market, like Seyboth will, they do sometimes worry when that happens. But I agree with Sean. I think Laslo Djere here, on all the stats, all the data, is definitely the bet to beat Seyboth will. Remember, that's an early start. I would guess that'll be around about 5 a.m. Eastern time. So head across to the Bet Rivers website. There will be about 30 different markets on that match. Head across there now and check the timings. The order of play will be announced a little bit later on this evening, so make sure you get those bets on nice and early. But Laslo Djere is our play there. Official pick or just a lean?
It's just a lean, that one. Yeah, I think this is a very, very tricky card, so I'm playing it a bit cagey today.
Okay, our final match in Kitzbuhel, and our final match we're going to preview today is Yannick Hanfmann up against Tomas Martin Etcheverry, the number 3 seed in Kitzbuhel. Minus 235 for the Argentinian Etcheverry, plus 185 for Hanfmann, 3.5 the spread, minus 103 for Etcheverry, minus 124 Hanfmann. Totals again consistent throughout, minus 22.5. Under minus 127, over even money. One time they've met before in 2023 in Houston. Etcheverry won 6-3, 6-4. Etcheverry quarterfinalist in Gustard. Hanfmann lost the last 16 in the same tournament, beat by Felix Auger-Aliassime. The money, again, there's been big market moves, and the money has come for Etcheverry here. Very short price, minus 235. We agree with the money on one move. We disagree with the money on both moves so far. Are we agreeing with the money on this one?
What was it? Do you know what it was before? I don't.
I think he was around about minus 195. Now minus 235.
Hanfmann's a tricky one at altitude. I think this one you got to check the weather, because the weather, unlike here where it's pretty decent, I think it's quite dodgy in Kitzbuhel. There's been quite a bit of rain there, so the forecast says that it's going to rain a lot tonight as well, and sort of over the early hours of tomorrow morning. But it should be okay by about 10 a.m. But I suspect that's going to make the courts a little bit damp. I don't know what the court cover situation is there or whatever. I presume they must have covers. Well, they didn't in Marrakesh, but that was Marrakesh.
Set them alight.
That was Marrakesh. But that kid's finally got his hammock up, has he? He's been doing that for about half an hour.
Oh, no,
He still sits on the floor with it, though.
Don't get on it with the injuries.
I'm not going to get on a hammock, no chance. Hanfmann's pretty good at altitude. What I think that market move, maybe it's because the rain, slower conditions. You'd think that would potentially favour Etcheverry. That if that's the case, I could probably agree with that market move. I think this is probably one for the overs, though. Because Hanfmann is tricky at altitude. He loves these conditions. He really does. Big serve, big forehand, likes to get the kick serve going. Dampness would certainly dampen that enthusiasm for sure. But I think the weather is supposed to be all right after about 10 a.m. So if the sun's out, the courts are covered and they're nice and dry, I think you would be more confident about Hanfmann's chances of doing something than in the damp. In the damp, I wouldn't fancy it particularly. So I think you need to check the weather before you bet on this one. If we look at what Hanfmann's done in Kitzbuhel, pretty decent. He's a former finalist here, also a former semi-finalist on a different occasion. Service points won and return points won, total of 102, and a service hold and break total of 105. Held serve 83% of the time, winning 72% of the first serve points. So his game is effective. He's not been in particularly great form. We got a little bit lucky with him last week, didn't we? When we had we did have it over 10.5, didn't we, in the first set?
Yep.
With Felix.
I'm saying, yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember.
Yesterday. I remember every bet I've had. Don't worry.
Do you remember that bet we bet Hanfmann?
This was last week.
I can't remember what happened yesterday.
This was last week.
My brain's got loads of things going on.
So's mine.
I can't remember nothing.
In Gestad, it was set one overs, and I think one of them lost serve really early, and it was very, very scrappy. There was loads of break points and loads of sort of breaks to serve. We eventually stumbled over the line. It ended up being a tiebreak somehow. But he is effective. He enjoys playing in these conditions. Etcheverry also has proven effective here. Made the semi-finals a year ago, lost to the eventual champion Baez. He's only played 3 matches here, but so the stats aren't worth that much. But for the record, he's got a service points won and return points won total of 110, 88% holds of serve. So, assuming conditions are reasonably dry and Hanfmann can get the kick serve going, it just looks like an over games match to me. Over 22.5 games, minus 102, I believe, with Bet Rivers. Check the conditions beforehand. If it's damp, I'd give it a swerve. But if the sun's out on the clock, because we don't know what the schedule is yet, do we? This is a game that's on later in the day, say like 2, 3 p.m., something like that, when the sun's had a chance to, 4 or 5 hours of drying the courts out. Then I'd be more keen about the overs. I think it's going to be reasonably competitive, quite serve dominated. So the obvious play for me would be the over games. The over games is actually even money with Bet Rivers now. Okay, over 22.5. I think this is to do with the weather. You do have to check this before you bet. So check the weather forecast there. There are the 4 matches. Give us your official picks, Sean. What are the ones we're going to go officially? Yeah, we're just going to take that one in Umag. I think it's quite a tricky day for underdogs. Some of the other matches that we haven't talked about got very, very heavy favourites, aren't they? Like Massetti against Trungaliti, I think is one of them. Not really feeling the vibe for the underdog there. So now that Sonego is underdog, if the price moves out even more, as you suggested it might, then that's great. But at the minute, I would take Sonego. What's his odds at the minute? +2. It was plus 112. Yeah. Sonego then, that is the underdog. If he moves out even more, then great, but I think that's a sliver of value on what looks a pretty tricky old day. Yeah, plus 112 for Sonego is the best price with Bet Rivers now. Head across to the website. That may get bigger, as I said, the injury to Sonego, if there's any more news developing, but people always react to injury news, so you might get a bigger price than that. Remember to follow myself and Sean, as I said earlier in the Shop of the Show, on Instagram and on Twitter at Because We Win. We're over in Umag all week, and we'll be at court tonight. We'll be at court for the rest of the tournament pretty much every single day. We'll have you covered here before we head off. And watch Fabio, aren't we? You're going to watch Fabio tonight? Will he win He's tonight? On now. He's on in about 20 minutes. We better hurry up then. Yeah. And also make sure you download the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, and also follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Huge amount of you subscribing, brilliant amount of comments, huge new viewers. I think we had 70 different comments on our show yesterday. 70 Don't be telling me what they are. No, they're all quite complimentary, actually, to be fair. I mean, I'm usually someone who's always moaning, but very complimentary at the moment. And so you should, because we're 8.05 units up now. Good winner last week, didn't we? Good winner with Feast, and a good winner yesterday as well with Montero as well. Hopefully we continue that throughout the week here in Umag. Okay, so that's it. This has been our special podcast. I must apologise if the sound's not very good. I've bought the wrong adapter for the microphone, so I apologise for that if it's not great. My mistake. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow doing the same thing again, looking ahead to the matches together for the second time here in Umag. Okay, we're going to have a beer somewhere. Going to have a little beer. There's a beach bar literally, 60 yards away? That sounds good to me. Let's go and raise a glass to Artur Feast. Yeah, man. That will be good. I've got a glass here. Okay. Yeah, but yours is empty, unfortunately. Take care, and we'll speak to you all again tomorrow.